I've never been the biggest fan of fighting games. Me and my friends would have a good time with the Mortal Kombats and the Soul Caliburs and the Smash Bros, but really outside of that local multiplayer setting, I never really explored fighting games that much for myself. That is, unless they have something unique going for them, and unique is the second best adjective that you can use to describe Def Jam Fight for New York. And the first is absolutely insane.
That game there, boy.
Def Jam Fight for New York is a sequel to Def Jam Vendetta, one of the over-the-top sports games under the EA big label. That game did numbers, and it was only obvious for EA to follow it up with an even bigger and more ambitious game. AKI Corp developed both titles, the studio behind many wrestling games prior to these, and simply put, they knew what they were doing. Vendetta was more of a wrestling and brawling game where Fight for New York has several different fighting styles to choose from, like street fighting, kickboxing, wrestling, martial arts, or submissions like jiu-jitsu. Fight for New York is a game absolutely stuffed full of actors, rappers, and personalities, all within the ecosystem of hip-hop in the early 2000s.
This game was something serious. They screwed up on the third one, which they had never recovered. That kind of thing, like making moves with sounds or something like that. They never recovered. I'm surprised they ain't trying to make a new one. But I don't know about making a new one with the new rappers. You can keep that. And that would be worse than Icon. They never made another one since.
This game has 67 playable characters. 67. Compare that to the 26 that you got in Mortal Kombat Deception or the 25 in Smash Bros. Melee. 67 is just bonkers. 44 of the fighters are real people. You can play as top rappers of the time like Ludacris, Busta Rhymes, and Fat Joe, to hip-hop legends like Ghostface Killah, Snoop Dogg, and Warren G, and even actors and random celebrities like Danny Trejo, Kimora Lee Simmons, Carmen Electra, and Jacob Arabo, the jewelry and watch designer behind Jacob & Co.
Nice doing business with you.
The other 23 fighters in the game were created by the developers because I guess 44 personalities just weren't enough. The idea of having this playground of rappers and superstars to duke it out with made me and my friends just hype off the possibilities. Who would win? Bubba Sparks or Bone Crusher? Freeway or Sean Paul? Method Man or Redman?
I'm gonna take your tongue out and lick my ass with it.
The scenarios were seemingly endless. Combine that with the actual environments you can take these scraps to, and you have a game that just never gets old. You can fight in a dank basement with crowds full of eager fans all around you waiting to see a battle to the death. They'll even grab your opponent, holding them open for some shots. They'll hand you a weapon, or just smash a weapon over someone's head themselves. The crowd is just savage. The levels themselves also provide hazards or opportunities depending on which side of the fight you're on. Smash a head through a speaker, use a car door, or even toss someone in front of a subway car. The environments are a big part of what makes this game insane. I really thought it was cool how much effort went into making this game as well. Each of these 44 real people contributed to their video game personas. They recorded their own voice lines and spent time committing to and creating this real world of Fight for New York. And listening to a lot of the behind the scenes recording sessions, they all seemed to have a really good time with it as well. But really, the game just felt good to play. It made you hype beyond belief when you started a 1v1 with your friend. No matter who you choose, they'd have some badass trash talk at the beginning that just gets you going. Combine that with the already over-the-top personalities and fighting styles and kick-ass soundtrack full of songs by most of the cast of the game that are made to get you hype. The game isn't a reserved fighting game by any standard either. The hits all feel hard, especially in combination with the excessive controller vibration.
I'm gonna tell you who
provide. The slams are
who we had about the suplex and the atomic drop. Everybody said they had trouble with him. I remember I think when you got to Ice T. He was a pain in the ass. He was a pain in the, because they have you in the ring, not this ring, but there's another type of ring, and there's no weapons, no nothing. So you just got to run off the ropes and try moves. And it was getting disgusting. As soon as you think you got him beat, you're beat. It was getting disgusting. And then I remember this one girl was playing I wish I could remember who she was. She was doing the live stream. I don't know how she live streamed PS2, but anyway, she couldn't get past Scarface for shit. Scarface was kicking her ass. She fought Scarface like 10 times. She was getting her ass beat. Yeah, but I thought Ice-T was worse than Scarface because it was, oh man, I was getting tired of him.
Cringe-inducing, and again, the environmental destruction is just
Scarface
brutal.
Ice-T was something serious.
There is a meter in the fights called momentum, and it's boosted by landing hits, countering or blocking hits, and taunting your opponent. The rate at which it goes up is also affected by the character's charisma stat, which varies from character to character. Things like clothing, jewelry, tattoo choices, they all serve to boost charisma, which in turn help you get your momentum
clothes on. There go Ice-T right there.
The more expensive and flashy the jewelry, the better. Once you max out momentum, the real fun happens. Then you enter blazing mode. The fighter catches fire and is able to perform a signature move, which are heavy hitting and really flashy. One of my favorites is definitely Kimura Lee Simmons. It goes from a flurry of bitch slaps to breaking a neck. It's just savage. That being said, the point of each level is to beat some ass, and there are only two ways to win a fight: knocking a bitch out or making them tap with a submission. There are two health bars essentially layered on top of each other. You got your main health meter and then what the game calls a consciousness meter. The consciousness meter sits on top of the health meter and gets depleted with every hit at a much larger rate than the health. However, it also replenishes itself to the current level of HP if you go a few seconds without getting hit. Taking a rapid amount of hits will lower the consciousness, leaving you open to being knocked out, regardless of what the health is at. A pretty cool concept in my opinion. Once your opponent is in danger, knockouts have to be done with either a haymaker, a blazing move, a weapon, or an environmental hazard. A win by submission is done by depleting the health bar of a specific limb, so leg locks or arm bars done repeatedly will weaken the limb enough to cause a submission victory. A lot harder to pull off than a KO, but for fighters with that style, it is a lot of fun to do and it's hard to defend against. You learn submissions are badass real quick once you face Ice-T for the first time.
You're nothing but a punk, your daddy's a punk, and your mama's a bitch.
The crazy thing about this game, though, is that it's not just some outlandish crossover fighting game. It's got a really well fleshed out story mode with a plot and
that soundtrack is something serious.
You go through a character creation, all in the setup of it being a police sketch artist drawing another cop's description of a guy who hit his car and let the suspect he had in custody escape. That suspect is D-Mob from the prior game, Vendetta. You pick the appearance and voice and a pretty basic creation menu, and you join D-Mob and his crew in taking over New York. You fight and earn respect through the local fighting circuits, you learn fighting skills from Henry Rollins, you buy clothes and jewelry from Jacob the Jeweler, and even get a girlfriend along the way from the likes of Lil' Kim, Carmen Electra, and Kimura Lee Simmons, all while going against a rival gang and its leader, Crow, a pimped out Snoop Dogg. Along the way through the game, you even get forced to switch sides at one point and join Crow's crew, betraying D-Mob.
It is Snoop Dogg.
It's honestly a dope ass story. It's more interesting than most other fighting games like Smash Bros, which has very little in the way of character progression and narrative. Also, in Smash Bros, you don't get shot at by Danny Trejo. The game definitely is dated in modern times. Back in the early 2000s, hip-hop was loud and over-the-top already, and this game dials up the excessiveness of that culture to 11, including treating women like objects, i.e. picking your girlfriend between two fine ladies of the early 2000s, and answering messages on your T-Mobile sidekick. But in a way, it sort of encapsulates this unique and interesting culture and time in our lives, especially if you were a big fan of hip-hop like I was. After this game came out on consoles, it also got a PSP version called The Takeover, and eventually a sequel on next-gen consoles called Def Jam Icon, the most disappointing sequel ever made. It was a visually impressive game with some current rappers and characters to brawl with like T.I., Paul Wall, Lil Jon, and Anthony Anderson. It was a decent game, but it lacked all the charm and innovative nature of both Vendetta and Fight for New York, and was the last fighting installment that we've seen from Def Jam. There was an Icon 2 being made at one point, but it has since been scrapped and no one even knows what happened to it. Even though Def Jam did tweet out some promising things pretty recently hinting that they may be making a new game. Although nothing's been heard of that ever since either. Def Jam did release one more video game that wasn't a fighting game called Def Jam Rap Star, which was like...
That was horrible. I'm thinking that was a new Vendetta. That was horrible. Cut that shit off.
On the daily.
Does anyone make real shit anymore?
Due to the copyrights and licensing nightmares of the industry of both video games and music, I heavily doubt that we'll ever see any kind of remaster or remake of any of the Def Jam games. But that doesn't mean people still don't love and play this game still now. There is even a community and game tournaments with this game, similar to Smash Bros. And Street Fighter. It may not be as big, but it is alive and well.
No shirt and no shoes, but all the service. God damn, stop! That's it. And he took his shirt off. He is David Banner in real life.
Could you imagine a modern day spiritual successor to this game though? Under Def Jam you have people like 2 Chainz, Pusha T, Logic, Justin Bieber, and plenty others. But fuck it, why not include any and all labels or artists? Make it a giant hip hop fighting game. Maybe like XXL does a freshman list every year, they can source a new fighting game. The people need it. I wanted to make this quick video about this game because of the dozens of recommendations, but also because it's a game that I truly spent hundreds of hours on easily back in the day. I didn't sink many hours into it this go around for this video, so this is more of a nostalgic video rather than a full-blown retrospective like I usually do. I hope that you enjoy this trip down memory lane as much as I did, and if this shorter form content is something that you'd like, I'll continue to mix in videos like these in the future. I'd like to take some time to give a shout out to all my patrons for holding it down. My man Doc Schwinn.
It's a beautiful Schwinn bike you got out there, Dupree.
Kid Kingpin. Ejected USB. Anonymous Starkweather.
Ejected USB.
Doug Smith. Sofa Palace Productions. Crash Bandicoot 25. Zachary Parkerson. Potty. And Yay Man. As always, thank you for watching. I hope to see you next time. Peace.
Yeah, this what I was about to say. Because I don't really do fighting games anymore, but I will break out the PS2 for this once in a while. But if they ever 'cause I don't even really mess with fighting games period no more. If they seriously made a new one, I'd have to see about something. Because the only thing last fighting game I played was probably that Dragon Ball Z. I forgot the name of it now for PS4. But yeah, they should have worked on a new game for this 2-3 years ago. Still ain't did it. Should have been thought of something. Have the new one. If they had a new one, I figured they. I know 50 Cent or somebody will be in there, and I'm surprised neither one of the Def Jam games LL wasn't in there. I thought that was kind of weird. He wasn't in there.